So, I actually went to the other Planet Fitness that I usually go to, and I don't know. This one's a little further, and not really that far, but imagine if I go 3 times a day, that'd be a bit of gas. Right. Uh, it's much nicer. The other one, they don't even turn the lights on. Like, real, I don't know, maybe they got them on. It's like dingy, and there's a lot of noise. I can't figure out what the noise is coming from, really. It's just maybe because it's smaller and it's reverberating, or it's an older gym, and maybe these were designed to be quieter. I don't know. Right? But a lot more adults here. A lot less skimp, I guess, also, at least for now. Right. That was bizarre. Maybe it's more college kids. I don't know. Right. High school kids. This is kind of like there's a Savers next door, so might be a lower budget community, but higher standards maybe. It's not a bad gym. It's nice people and all that, and I appreciate the closeness. I'm sure I'll be back in there a bit. But like, I didn't even have to adjust my hearing aid or anything. I thought it was me. It's the gym. It's got some weird kind of background noise in there. I don't get it. Excellent. A lot of retired, a couple of retired. It looks like a couple of retired guys in here. More like a gyms I'm used to. I guess outside of Santa Fe was a weird one. Oh yeah. So again, I think it might be Joseph Smith, maybe even Brigham Young. Their spirits. So the idea of, again, the Lord will put me places. I'll get information quick sometimes, and maybe the missionaries even asking why she even brought it up, but about homeless people, and we're not supposed to, because she felt bad because she didn't reach out to the homeless person like somebody, the guy that was asking her to turned out to be like, probably somebody that gave him the willies. It was kind of creepy for them. Yeah. But she said, we're told not to because as missionaries, we don't necessarily have those resources to handle that. Now, there's a part of the church that does handle that. Right. So again, the idea is, and I'm not sure, you may already have some of it. The idea is closing that gap, and when we work charity type things. Again, you don't want to get into that idea, hey, you want your breakfast, you got to accept Christ. That's it's always been a danger in that type of work, right? Well, because you want them to feel comfortable. We don't want them to feel, you know, and maybe some people need to feel obligated to get there. I don't know. Again, God's plan, whatever that is. Right. Oh, just a side note. I've been researching. What did I hit here? Oh, I see. I got little buttons here. Okay. I've been researching, just lightly, the trans activism, because it seems like it's dialing down. Right. I mean, there's actually more coming against them, but it's not as active, and it may be because there's not as much, funds moving in that direction. Right. Well, the idea, but a couple of news articles were actually they were saying maybe the in your face thing was wrong, and it was. I told you the in your face thing was wrong. Right. Now Republicans are doing the same mistake, making the same mistake. There's also a lot of counter propaganda and things, and it's a pretty damaging little piece there. Like I don't know if they're senators or congressmen. I think they're senators. I don't know. They're asking about the bill, and they show one cut of Donald Trump saying that we're going to cut Social Security. We're going to cut taxes on Social Security. Right. And then the other senator is asking the other senator or congressman, whatever it is, in that bill, does it cut taxes? No. Does it cut taxes on tips? No. And there was one other on overtime. No. So again, that's very damaging. Well, what they're going to see it is ultimately is a tax and spend bill with some gifts for wealthy people. That's what they're going to see it as. But you have conservatives yelling that we need to cut more. So again, it just you ran for office a certain way, and yeah, one of the things was that you were going to balance the budget and do all that stuff, but you got to get there to get there. You can't say that that's the most important part of it, because for most people it's not and wasn't. The balance the budget thing was just kind of a rallying call or cry. The only way you're going to do it is by investing funds. It's the only way you're going to do it. There's no reason the government can't neutrally invest some of the things it has. Right. They're talking about buildings. There's too many buildings or something. Can we rent those buildings and make any money? Do we have any real estate that we really can make a lot of money off of as a government? You have to get into those ideas the way other people make money. That's the only way the government's going to survive. Somebody was having problems. I don't remember who it was. Like with the post office making money. I didn't quite understand the argument. I think I was speaking to the person. I don't think it was on the news or anything. And they were kind of talking about, government agencies aren't made to make money. I'm like, not really. I mean, the post office originally made money, and nothing wrong with that, because then that reduces the tax burden. So if we invested in something in all these years that the United States exists, in this big real estate, this big whatever we have, and this is what if Doge was real, this is some of the stuff they'd be figuring out, not just how to cut, but how to make money, and then you don't have to cut necessarily if it's something valid, right? Because the cuts aren't going to make it, and I knew they would. I didn't think it was that big. Agreed. Yeah, he definitely cursed me yesterday. I went to bed with a bag of trail mix and woke up with it almost completely empty, and was not my goal. At least I bought the healthiest stuff. Well, when you look at what the missionaries have to do, okay, so a Baptist missionary or a Baptist person, yeah, it's soul winning and all that, door knockers, a little bit more in the program in the LDS that's required. And I can see that missionaries that get bogged down with homeless people, they're just not right. It's just not. They have enough problem already with what goes on, with all the door knocking and the hate from that. So it'll be very difficult. But again, when she said that, I said, I got the blip that maybe there's something else the church does charitable. So I went over to. I did research on the LDS page on what they're doing as far as charitable outreach and all that. Well, sometimes they're just investing in somebody else's charitable outreach. Right. Mm. But they're also, running some of their own stuff. So, uh, right. I- It's just you have to be careful that you're not just building temples. And again, it's just funny discussion since I'm supposed to be all fired up about going to the temple and all that. But again, you can't lose focus on the human aspect of it, and that's part of the reason that we're here. Sure. But again, what I'm saying is, I haven't researched it as much as I probably could, but I can research it further and find out. Do you do that? There should right to do both, so that the outreach not only nurtures their needs and provides for them, but it also, you know, lets them know that this other world exists, right? No, I could see based upon again, I'm witness. I witness things, and as a witness, I can see that it's a valid thought, a valid instruction to be careful with that because it's just, in other words, if you're somebody that wants to do that kind of charity, that's a separate work than the missionary work, but yet you should still be focused on missionary work. Like saying, like how I do it, the way I do it is, and if ever, I never got too far into it because of what they did in my life, but I'll just, if they thank me, I say, thank God. God, God provided all of this. We did, and we were just here, and God's the one that powers this. God's the one that provides. So you constantly focus them on God without requiring uh, a statement of faith or something like that. And then eventually, like that kind of work, when the person, for me, because I'm not, for you, you might want to bring people later to talk to them, but uh, based upon maybe their desire to know more. But for me, I know that I've helped people that were, reaching out, soul winning, doing door knocking and things like that. Oh yeah, remember that guy, or people that do approach homeless people, right? Well, because I was there helping, and every time I gave the credit to God when I help somebody, even if they aren't homeless. Kind of a weird morning. I don't know. It's a pretty good crowd for mid morning, but I mean, it's like I said, they turn the lights on in here a little bit more, or they build it that way. I don't know. All right. And the sound is definitely a smoother sound in here. Maybe because it's more open. Oh, something did happen weird. I pulled up there. I didn't have my phone. I left my phone at home, so I had to go get my phone. But so this young woman goes walking in, and it could be consequence or not consequence. That's them trying to mess up. Could be just coincidence or Satan's stance or something like that. But you know, right? Attractive young woman, skimpily dressed, all tanned up. So she goes walking in there. A shorter woman. That's what I prefer in life. But again, she's too young and all that. But right. And she walks up, and they take her picture. And that means she just signed up. I'm giving you all a secret of how somebody can figure out you put somebody in, but I don't know if it is or not. They sign up online, they walk in the gym, and they start harassing me sexually. Right? To bait me is to sexually harass me. I don't care what your officers have said all those years. I'm sorry. I mean, just freaks, man. The government's full of freaks, federal, state, and local, including their PI buddies. Well, you have to be. Again, I don't find that it's like some pharisaical thing, that they tell the missionaries not to outreach to the homeless. It's again, there's two factors. There's a danger factor, and these are just young. Generally, I mean, I'm speaking about the young missionaries, especially females, right? Well, if you're a young guy, I'd be in the LDS church looking to get married. I'll tell you that. I kicked myself in the derriere for not getting there 20 years ago. Right? They blocked me, no doubt. Government people blocked me. Thank you, Larry. Well, during the Biden administration, I warned them of several things. I said, you're too in your face with the trans. You have to consider the other side of it. So you got to develop a program that gives each person space, right? And then I said, with the electric cars, I said, you're going to do the same thing Obama did. That's going to lead to your demise, right? We agree. The consensus is it agrees. Again, those are things that people hear in their head sometimes. I don't hear in my head too well, so I'll speak it so I can hear it. But I don't walk around all day doing that necessarily. I mean, part of the day sometimes. I'm in meditation or something with spirits. And while I broadcast. Because God needs me to sense what's coming at me. I don't even have to speak about it, really. I mean, God knows what's. I'm like a sensor for God. I receive, from God, but I also send. No, there's nothing wrong with the other gym. It's nice. It's a nice, clean gym, and the people that work there seem to be nice. Yeah, definitely a different reaction over here. I walked in with my Psalm 680 or 68:4 with a raised fist shirt. My guy at the counter said, "Yeah, cool." Yeah, just kind of saw the shirt. So he's like, "Yep, we're cool here." All right. Wow, a little bit getting fired up this morning. A lot more energy yesterday. I didn't take a couple supplements this morning, but probably it. I'm trying to get 50 minutes in, but I don't know if I'll be able to do that this morning. Maybe drink some of my water. Maybe that's it, because I didn't drink as much water either. People won't necessarily speak out about those things because the machine is watching and it might attack them, so they don't speak about the things I was speaking about with Trump. But there's a piece online and it's very damning. Right. Then something else came up, and I can't remember what that was, but it didn't look at all good. And I guess that's why you all fired up your machine and. And like, as far as displaced people, Ukraine is a real war zone. And they had a young lady from Ukraine, well spoken, well dressed, with an accent, and a little bit, you know, not perfect English, but well enough. And she said, I came here legally. I mean, we offered to take their huddled masses at that point. That was, that program, right? And she got a letter that she has to leave and go back to Ukraine, which is in the middle of a major war. That's not going to go over well with people. And she said, I've been paying taxes the whole time I was here. Mm. I think she said her and her mother have to go back. And I don't know who the father is, but apparently the father can stay. He said, I have dogs, and my dogs have to stay here with my father. And definitely different energy in here. Right. Whew. Yeah, I didn't take my electrolytes and minerals. And I didn't take any ashwagandha, so probably that's part of it. Whew. Right. So a way to develop the program in the LDS, if it's not already there, is you have people that are assigned to that type of homeless, indigent people outreach. Right. Right. The regular missionaries probably. Well, the system could, with a regular missionary, say they can make a phone call. Like you could have a team of homeless outreach people, and you try to get them services, and when you think they're stable enough, get them further. Right? But you could have your missionary team that calls up the other team, says, "Hey, we have 3 homeless people congregating on the corner of so and so and so and so," and then they go about their business because they're not structured for that. You have somebody else that's structured for that. Well, I guess you're getting my breath there. Got to figure that one out. But it definitely has better noise cancellation on this particular microphone. But yeah, it's much calmer gym as far as energy. Agreed. Thank you, Larry. Whew. Well, I got to drop 10 pounds quick. Right. I think that's probably one of the things that happened. It just happened. I had I got to stop and go. I guess I was at 30 minutes or something. Supposed to hit manual or something. For some reason it was set at 30 minutes or something. Thank you, Larry. Like get back in his groove. All right, back in the groove. Where was I? Again, if we have a recession, the question is whether we're going to have an increased number of homeless people also. And you have to understand, cutting things doesn't always save money. And governments have figured that out. Even locking them up if they hit the streets doesn't save money. It costs more money to lock them up than actually house them somewhere. Now, the contracts were crazy, obviously. They spent way too much money. George. Well, you'll find based upon what they paid, they could have built their own or purchased their own establishments. Right. and then had something for the money. Well, even from public safety standpoint, when people are in a central location, it works a little better. Now, some people they just they're going to camp and that's it. You have to fight them to get them out of the camping scenario. I have to get on my VA work today, and I also have to get on my my move out plan and figure out what I can start moving. Thank you much. Well, I don't believe the bill is going to get anywhere. Different groups of people are fighting that bill that Trump's trying to put through for different reasons. So I have no idea how any of it's going to work. Well, one of the difficulties when it's being presented, like I said for years, MAGA lives in its own world. The MAGA propaganda doesn't work when we go towards real facts, and that's part of what's happening. They're presenting real facts, and they're just kind of dispelling that. I mean, it kind of puts the MAGA propaganda in danger at that point because you're you put it in a place where they can just pull out facts instead of just being MAGA centric surrounding and just blah 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 blah, and everybody else goes blah 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 blah. Right. So again, that's another thing that's happening in the House and Senate. I just presenting the facts. When somebody presents a lie, they present a fact, and it's a fact. Right. I mean, I think the other day somebody refused to answer simply because that's what it was. Right. Well, there was a Republican Party before MAGA. Right. Well, they were put up because there was a financial downturn. So again, same thing happened recently, and same thing might happen again. Right. One of the reasons Trump was put out was because of the same thing. Again, it's you got to face the facts, right? And also Trump got in, pointing to the economy, which was already on the rebound, right? But people fell for it. Well, you got to face the facts if you want to get anywhere, and you're all pretty much nowhere right now. You got in, but then you went boom. Right. I mean, yeah, you're making money and your programs are going, but well, Trump says he wants numbers, and they're meeting those numbers, and the way to do it is the way they're doing it. But it's gonna, as far as the deportations, but it's gonna anger people, right? It's kind of like knowing a government employee that was fired, or knowing and now it's knowing somebody at work, a 9 to 5 hard worker gets deported, right? I'm sure there's people with money that aren't getting deported. I'm sure there's big money people that aren't. So those might be your actual drug dealers. That's why I said look at your drug numbers. Look at your sexual trafficking numbers. I guess I got about 40 minutes now. Sorry. When I realized that there's a mess, and I realized the American citizen was pretty much left behind and abused. But again, you have to do that process with some level of intelligence. Right. Still kind of weird because I got this thing turned all the way down, and the volume, it just pinged to yellow. I didn't realize I hit incline on the on the machine. They have these buttons that I accidentally hit. And no wonder it was getting difficult. I only realized that when I cleaned inclined it some more. Oh yeah, you put together, I don't know, a team of whatever the number is, 7, 10 people, whatever it is, and then you have the missionaries call in homeless locations. Well, when you help them, you just keep saying it's God. It's the way you do it. Don't take any credit for it. We shouldn't do that. Right. All right. There's an overage of numbers, but you might actually be finding some of the people that you actually want to be left when you get the numbers down. Actually. So I was able to get my batteries plugged in so I could actually charge my phone while I'm broadcasting. Right, today's Thursday. I got something today. I got to do the genealogy list. They're rehabbing communities. Almost there. See how this sounds when I get finished. Here we are. What I believe is 50 minutes. I do the cool down. No idea what that one was. There's spirits trying to speak, and it's kind of saying it's sorry. They weren't supposed to do it. I don't know who it is. Could be people in hell. I don't know. Whew. All right, so I gotta get all this gear off. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.